And on ground, Berija Andrew is discussing government compensation of people doing business in South Sudan. Well, when you look at the compensation drive here, some people think by government only compensating companies which were supplying food to the South Sudanese government, and yet there are the Ugandan business people who are in South Sudan who also need compensation due to losing their jobs during the civil wars and insecurity situations that were transpiring in South Sudan. Now, you get to a reason that most Ugandans are not happy with this government move. Berija Andrew in Bugolobi gets to understand more about what people think of this one.
All right, thank you very much, Joram Paul Sonko. And today we are right here in Golobi, and we are discussing the compensation plan regarding the people that were trading in Sudan. That's the traders that lost quite a number of merchandise during the war that took place. Actually, that was in 2015 when it concluded. Of course, the rebels were fighting in there. But there have been quite suggestions whereby the government, the Sudanese government, was planning, had told the Ugandan government to compensate only those traders that were dealing with the Sudanese government straight away. But however, those that were dealing in just general in merchandise without like private merchandise, if I may say, are known to be compensated as well. So today, we want to find out the public opinion regarding this particular aspect. What do they think about this? Is it okay to just compensate just a few people and leave out the rest? Remember, during war, quite a lot of property is lost. So I'm going to get in touch with some people and we share some opinions regarding this particular aspect. What do the people think in line in particular regarding this aspect? Mukamange jebaliko.
Kalisibu. Nawe jebaliko.
Kalisibu. Oli mutelevu ku Smart 24 TV. Chano y'ebyobusuubuzi. Yesibu. Amanya?
Amanya Sentamu Hamidu.
Sentamu Hamidu. Yes, katwaliro twogera ku bannayuganda abafiirwa ebintu mu lutalo olwali Sudan. Katwabaddewo ekibadde kigambibwa nti bagenda kuwa abo bokka abali bakola business ne government ya Sudan. Kati gwe obanga wali muna Uganda ng'okola business ku lulwo nga tokola okola n'abannansi oyinza obutafuna ki kako kakati gwe ensonga eyo ojogerako ki kuba government ya Sudan yabadde egambe government ya Uganda bo ebasasule wenaaba efunye ssente ejja kuzzaawo gwe ensonga ezo ojogerako ki?
Kirungi nnyo, enteeseganya yabadde nnungi nnyo. Era omulamwa gwe baalesi gwabadde mulungi nnyo bakwatagane, naye ekyebuuzibwa buli muntu akantu nga bwe basazeewo okubasasula kanaabatuukako. Kubanga kati embeera nga bw'ogiraba, COVID yajja, buli muntu embeera yamutaataaganya. Nyinza okuba nkolera Sudan kati nga ndi Arua. Banansangayo ne bampa akantu kange. Oba bagenda kuligestalinga buli muntu. Bwana tebasoode kuligestalinga muntu kati bagenda kufuna batya obwenkanya n'amazima. Omuntu agenda kufuna atya akasente ako. Kaakati nze mu kulaba okwamangu nga nze omu kinoomu. Bandibadde bateeka abantu ku lukalala ne batuula wansi gavumenti y'eri eya Uganda n'eya Sudan. Ne batuula wansi. Ne banoonyereza ne bakola okunoonyereza okulungi. Ne bamanya kuba basinga ensi buli muntu yamutwala wuwe. Naye batudde batya wansi ne bamanya nti buli muntu anaafuna kasente ako mazima n'obwenkanya. Gwe mulamu gwe nandirabyewo ssebo mukama wange. Ssebo.
Niyanziza nnyo enteesa eyo mukama wange. Okay, very interesting opinions from the public regarding this particular aspect of compensating Ugandans that were trading merchandise in Sudan before the war broke out and majority lost property. But like I said earlier, the government of Sudan had suggested the government of Uganda to compensate only those traders that were dealing directly with the government. So if you were a trader and you were just dealing with the private individuals, chances are high probably you may not be compensated, or your compensation plan is not as timely as it might seem. So right here, I'm going to still look around to get some other opinions from the different people regarding this particular subject, if I can get any, and we hear what they say in regarding to this particular matter. As you can see, it's quite a busy place here in Bugolobi. It's a market, and of course people wake up to work so hard, as you can see in the background right here where I am standing. a majority. But of course, we always wake up and get discussions from these particular people regarding matters concerning the country. And of course, what they say matters a lot simply because it communicates to the responsible authorities regarding the policies that are being put in place. Imagine you are the one and you actually trading in Sudan, and it may not be Sudan or any country, because war can break out from many places, and at the end of the day you lose quite enormous property. There is a way it's going to affect you, and if you're not compensated, there is a way still you're going to feel psychologically affected. So it's important that these factors are put into consideration. So that's what is happening lately on ground. But thank God the war ended, but still Sudan still sounds a nightmare to majority of the traders. Today when you talk about Sudan, yes, it brings back that nightmare where a majority of the people lost. And not only just property, we had people that were employed right there and they were getting these jobs, but all this affected their work ethics, their income was affected. So today when you talk about Sudan, a majority of the traders are shaking regarding this particular topic, and there is quite a big shaking. So it becomes a little bit tricky. And now the compensation is going on, and some are not sure. Some are stranded, you know, some lost property to the extent that they have never regained it back. You know, they went back to zero, if I may say that. They went back to zero and they totally were left with nothing. So, I mean, in this place, trying to get the opinions of the different people regarding this particular subject, though it's quite, seems to be a little bit scarce place, but still I can get in touch and we talk regarding this particular topic, and we get their opinions regarding these very matters. Let me try to walk around and see if I can find some people here. The market is quite a little bit busy, as you know, but of course that doesn't stop us from reaching out to the different people, and we get their opinions regarding this particular aspect. But still, let me try out someone. Come on, Gejebaliko.
I'm not ready.
You're not ready? Okay, very fine. And of course, some people are not really willing to give opinions, but it is still fine. We can still get in touch with some other people. Remember, the topic of discussion today, we are discussing the compensation of the traders that used to trade in Sudan before the war broke out. And of course, after the war breaking out, many lost property, and the plan of compensation was that some people the government will compensate only those that were trading with the government of Sudan in particular. And of course, when the government of Sudan gets back the money, it will refund back to the government, and of course business will keep running on as usual. Sudan is not the first country we've seen, of course, conflicts taking place. We've seen them happening in quite so many countries, and people are losing massive properties, massive billions of money that are being lost right there. So you can find it can be quite a very challenging aspect right there. Just put yourself in that picture, that if you were the one doing such a business, what would you do? And as you've heard the public, and the first person that I got in touch with, he said, will these people be actually found? And if they are found, how will they be able to be compensated rightly? And of course, still before I reached on ground, I had an interaction with somebody, and we are discussing the aspect that so many times things happen and we put every blame to the government, we put every burden to the government, and sometimes the government is also overwhelmed regarding certain factors. So that makes it a little bit complex in terms of making decisions to ensure that they're implemented effectively and everyone benefits. So that's what happened during the war. Actually, I had a friend of mine that had gone there to do some construction work, but still the work didn't go on well simply because the conflict largely distracted. So the question is it fair to only compensate a few class of people and leave out the rest of the people and not being compensated? And of course, that's what we are trying to see if we can get. Unfortunately, where I'm standing today, there are not quite so many people that are willing to speak regarding these matters. But it's still okay. One opinion or two opinions still can speak out to the responsible stakeholders to ensure that the people that are responsible to implement such policies listen to the opinion and act effectively. Because at the end of the day, we want to encourage entrepreneurship, and this time around we are looking at the East African integration. And when we talk integration, that means when conflicts happen in areas, there is that aspect of making sure that there is compensation, because once compensation is put in place, at the end of the day, trade is going to be encouraged. And when trade is encouraged, definitely revenues are going to boost. And the revenues boost, automatically, you know what happens next? That means the economy of the region is going to be stable. And when we have a stable regional economy, it definitely means our currency as the shilling that unites the East African community is going to gain some value. And of course, Sudan may not be using the shillings, it's actually using dollars, the Sudanese dollars, but still it makes no difference regarding that particular aspect in this thing. So you can see the importance as why the compensation should be fair as what the public thinks. Yes, so it's very quite overwhelming situation that up to now majority of these people have not gotten back to the feet to ensure that they can actually achieve what they should achieve. So quite something very challenging aspect there regarding the business today. And of course, I interact with some of them, and when you hear their stories, you find that up to now they have lost hope. Some time back, the Private Sector Foundation Uganda came up to find a way that they can collaborate with these people. Of course, getting in touch with the Private Sector Foundation of Sudan, and we've seen business forums taking place. And some of the agendas that have been discussed is to ensure that the Ugandans that had lost the goods initially actually are compensated to ensure that business moves on smoothly. Recently, we had a trade forum that's between South Sudan, Uganda, and quite a lot transpired right there. And of course, we expect quite some more improvements in trade between these countries. Remember, these are countries that are trading amongst each other effectively. Trade has always been effectively. So presidents of these nations have already sat down to ensure that they harmonize the situation and everything gets back to normal regarding this particular aspect. There are quite a lot of things that are traded in Uganda and are needed in Sudan. And at the same time, there are quite a lot of things that are traded in Sudan that are grown in Sudan, and they are beneficial to the Ugandans. So the trade is always flowing efficiently. So in this way, there is a way that this should be played out to ensure that actually both parties can benefit from this particular aspect. So when I was on ground, that's what the people actually were saying regarding this particular aspect, as to why they think it's a little bit unfair to just compensate a few people that are dealing in that, of course, those that were transacting with the government of Sudan. Of course, it's quite a rare situation, and not everyone gets a chance to transact with the government. So if you put that limitation regarding that, it's limiting and it's frustrating the other personnel that are trading in business. But of course, these other people doesn't mean that they didn't have quite a lot of merchandise, despite the fact that they were not trading with the government. It's still they were trading in large sums, dealing with the large people. So you can see that's what transpired. And today we are right here on ground in Bugolobi discussing this particular aspect to ensure that we get the public opinion, though we managed to get one opinion, but that really counts a lot. Numbers never really mind regarding this. It's all about that important opinion that can reach to those people that are responsible for making decisions to ensure that everything runs quite very smooth and quite more prospects. Of course, I expected, because the East African region has had quite a number of wars. It's not only that, we've seen conflicts in Congo happening, and of course they have been quite a disruptive factor regarding this particular aspect, and definitely they have not quite been of great impact in regarding to the business environment in Uganda, and in particular, and in East African countries in particular at the same time. So you can see that quite the great relevancy of such negotiations, of such talks to ensure that business runs smoothly within these nations. So as you're watching right there, do you think it's the right idea? Is it right only to just compensate a few people or it's important that everybody deserves the right to be compensated. Of course, we do this to encourage a business, to encourage that next time in case there is a forum taking place, these traders are encouraged and not, of course, discouraged by the past events that happened, and they ended up not, of course, getting the benefits that they were supposed to get. Probably they felt like the government didn't help them out as well as they should have helped them out. So that's what happened regarding that particular aspect. And today, it's been the topic of discussion on ground. This is Smart Means Business on Ground. I've been Andrew Barije, of course, bringing you live these particular events, getting the opinions of the people regarding these matters. And at this very point, let's get back to studio with Joram Paul Sonko.
All right, that is it, Barije Andrew, with that particular discussion amongst the people in Bugolobi. Very few in there. But as we're summing up with Smart Means Business this morning, I'll be leaving you with the SMB no comment on the National Social Security Fund Forum that happened yesterday. If I'm to take you back to 10 years back of NSSF interest, there's a slight change in here. In 2012, the interest rates for NSSF were 10%, as 2013, 11.23%, increased in 2014 to 11.5%, 50, and then in 2015 increased to 13%. 2016 increased to 12.3%. 2017 there was a decrement to 11.23%. 2018 there was an increment in this particular sources. They received 15% in 2018. 2019 there was 11% in the increment. Looking at 2020, they had 10.75% in the increment of the NSSF interest rates, and 2021, 12.15%. That was the NSSF interest rate. Now, currently, 2022, it was 9.65%. Now, you can see there is a slight decrement in there, and of course, they've tagged the low interest rate to the midterm access, where Ugandans have been accessing their midterm benefits. For those who have served with NSSF for the last 10 years, have been able to access their midterm benefits, 10% of that. Then for people with disabilities and have served with NSSF for the last 10 years and are 40 years and above, have as well been able to access their midterm benefits. And for them, they've obtained 50%. The other people were obtaining 20%, I beg your pardon. Okay, and I'll be leaving you with that particular one. Later on will be Financial Markets with Anthony Sebale, then Fred Makobia with Yugi Tukole, Naomi Mutumba will come up with Scale Up, Jen Kolela with Hassan Dugat. Tonight, we have The Point with Dr. Joseph Tindiabwa. Please do endeavor to catch that particular program. I'll be back in the night with Business Today. Have a blessed day. Till tomorrow, good morning.
What have we done in order to promote our performance on the financial side? The first thing we've done is we've accelerated our real estate projects. We recently launched Solano, which is 98% completed. Our pension tower, our flagship project, is 80% completed, almost to be launched. Last week, we took the journalists out to see the Temangalo low-cost housing or affordable housing project. It is at 25%. We've had so much good reviews on the social media and our members telling us that this is exactly the product they want. And guess what? We've also continued to improve. We've continued to improve our ESG agenda by innovating. We have got this innovation we call High Innovator. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. But so far, we've been able to create over 13,000, almost 13,000 jobs, 7,000 entrepreneurs, and then we've also improved our business advisory. That is where we are able to provide financial literacy to SMEs, tax management, and tax accounting and budgeting. And then finally, we've worked on our tactical changes to our SSA so that we are able to improve the money that is available to pay out benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our performance. So let me recap at this stage. The first thing we did is that we improved our staff. We made sure that our staff were in a position to improve the processes. We've told you the things we've done around processes. Those processes have brought delight to our customers. They've improved their way of dealing with us. They've improved the way we do that they do things with us. And because they are happy, because the employers are happy, we now know that our financials are reflecting those gains.
That's a report, but it was not a good report this time because there was a loss of interest to workers who contribute the huge amount of money to NSSF. NSSF this time, I don't know what happened, it has dropped from 13 to 9. That's a very big drop. But it could have been the facts of COVID. After COVID, you know what, COVID affected everything. But I think this is a very beginning learning of that NSSF should now invest money where even if another pandemic happened, it shouldn't drop from 13 to what? 9. That's my wise advice to NSSF is that they should invest in houses, estates. Those ones don't drop always. Even if there was a COVID, houses have continued selling, and after the COVID, things have picked up. NSSF should also create something like a bank, which is called NSSF Bank, and borrow money at a small interest to their workers. They should put a lot of interest, because if somebody has saved like 100 million, let's say, in NSSF, and you're borrowing him 20 million, already he has a guarantee of your savings. So NSSF, instead of people crying every time they want 20% so on, should create a bank for people who are saving and others, other Ugandans. I think we should not be crying about this. That would be a bigger investment for Ugandans, because NSSF can manage. They have enough liquidity to manage a bank, and they can borrow and develop their people. To you people who have saved this year, you have done, NSSF has done badly. I know it is affecting those ones who are going off, because as we talk, there are people who are going to retire today, tomorrow, and the other day, and they have got very little money. That's bad, but I believe NSSF has a board, and he has a very good board. They will look into it and invest properly. I think next year the savings will increase. Let's pray for them.